our young people and what is happening, what you see as bitterness, what you see as anger, is a cry. The problem is not our young people. The problem is us, the political class. We are the problem. And when you hear a cry from your child, what do? You go down to their level, you listen. We need to listen. We need to humble ourselves. We need to take it seriously. Because our young people are not crazy. Our young people are our children. Let us listen to them. Yesterday I read out a poem at church about our young people being like living arrows that God sends forth upon the mark of the infinite. And as much as God loves the arrow that flies, he also loves the bow that is stable. We as parents, let us not respond to our children with arrogance. Na tusiwapuuzilie, na tusiwatishe, hawatishiki. In fact, the more you do that, the more you rile them up. The more you rile them up, the more they resist. Na mimi najua tutapata nafasi hiyo. So thank you, Mheshimiwa Mili, for raising that. My colleagues, we are here. It is time for us to have self-introspection as leaders. Where we went wrong, let us correct ourselves. So kwa hayo mengi, Mheshimiwa Lachi, we love you. Tunakulombo tofu.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BAV. This is Bunge Audio Visual, the place where we get to give you updates not only in Kenya but across the globe as well. So I want to thank you for the 300 subscribers. This is a journey to 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, share this video, and hit that notification bell as well. And also keep on liking and commenting for the updates that I usually give you. So you've seen the video of Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja. And in this particular episode, we're going to talk about the youth and leadership and responsibility. Because today we're diving into a powerful statement made by Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja that has been making rounds online. And his words touched on something that many of us have been discussing for a while. The frustrations of the young people and the responsibility of leadership in addressing them. And without further ado, let's break it down. So you've heard the statement of Johnson Sakaja, and he said that there was actually a soundbite of Governor Sakaja's statement in the kind of speech that he made in that gathering or rather ceremony. So you've seen that Johnson Sakaja has been able to come out and clearly and say strongly that what you see in our young people as bitterness or anger is a cry. And he said that the problem is not our young people, the problem is us, the political class. And when you hear a cry from your child, you go down to their level, humble yourself and listen. Then he has also said that since they are the children, since they are our children, we should respond to them with arrogance because they also know how to resist. The more we provoke them, the more they push back. So as a country, you need to ask yourself, where have we gone wrong as leaders? And should we be ready to correct anytime we do stumble? Because at the end of the day, we're just human beings. So what I can say is that that's very deep. And because, let's be honest, young people in Kenya and across the world are very, very frustrated because they feel unheard, they feel neglected, and at times outright dismissed by those people who are in power. But the question you need to ourselves is that, is this frustration unwarranted? Because what I can say about the level of, if there is a warranty of this frustration, is it's absolutely not. Because why are people angry at first? We need to ask ourselves such kind of questions. Because, and what is really behind this so-called bitterness that Johnson Sakaja is talking about? And for me, I just point out the normal daily challenges or other problems that we've been experiencing as a country since the time we gained independence, and some of the problems that we've been experiencing as a country that have actually made our youths go wild or rather go rogue or rather become bitter, as this Nairobi governor stated, is we've got matters to do with unemployment. You see, the youth unemployment rate in Kenya remains very, very high at the moment. We've seen so many graduates are out here struggling to secure jobs, but despite their qualifications, they're still just maneuvering here and there. Some of them have gotten into drugs, some have gotten into various criminal activities, and so many other activities that I'm not able to mention, because the number of criminal activities or rather the number of felons in this particular country who are former graduates are so many. And this is a very, very sad state of affairs. Then, apart from unemployment, what I can also say about the kind of the reason as to why we have actually having a bitter nation, or rather a bitter youth, a bigger number of bitter youths in this country, is that the rampant cases of corruption that every day we hear the stories of corruption are at high levels, where public funds meant for development mysteriously disappear. Then, meanwhile, you are able to see young people are being told to work hard and be patient. How can you tell about a young person to work hard and be patient, because the same person has worked so hard through his entire academic career? He has worked hard in primary, he has worked hard in secondary, he has worked hard in campus, he has graduated, he has gotten a second class upper division, he has gotten a first class honors. Then you keep on telling the same guy that you need to work hard and be patient. Yet at the same time, the one you as the advisor to the young generation, you are telling the young generation to work hard and be patient. Yet on the other side, you are busy squandering their money. You are busy stealing public resources. You are busy embezzling funds that has been generated by the parents of the youths who have no jobs. You get. So I think these are some of the things that actually make the youth angry. Then talk about lack of opportunities, whether it's access to funding for business, skills for development programs, or even proper mentorship. We've seen many young people feel that they don't have a fair shot at a fair shot at success, because the moment it becomes difficult for one to actually fund the youths who actually have who have got lucrative business ideas that just require some capital to ensure that they kickstart their the dreams that they wanted to live in the next 10 or 20 years. So once they fail to access those funds that are going to drive them toward their the very successful businesses that they have in mind, it becomes so difficult for somebody like that to actually live in peace, because he's there thinking that I've been having all these ideas since I was in primary. I've been having this concept, but there is no single day that I'm actually going to make my dream come true, since I have no capitation, or rather I have no financial support. So it becomes so difficult for actually them to live in a peaceful to live peacefully, because there is something that they do believe that if at all they are actually going to get sponsored in a way, it's actually going to propel them to another level in life, but it leaves them very, very empty, very, very dissatisfied, and very, very sad in life, or rather bitter. So we also talk about the disconnection from leadership. And as we talk about the disconnection from leadership, you need to understand that the youth often feel alienated from decision-making processes. They only feel relevant during elections, and when politicians need their votes, that is when the youths are usually needed. But after that, it's so difficult for actually some of the youths to get supported in any way whatsoever. Then, when it comes to matters concerning the leadership response in this particular context, one thing I like to bring out clearly is that now this is where Governor Sakaja's words became so important, because instead of dismissing the young people as troublemakers, he was able to come out and say clearly that leaders need to listen. They also need to humble themselves and genuinely address their concerns, because that is how leadership is actually achieved, or that is how leadership is conducted. Because there are so many things that actually need to be addressed at the moment, but most of the leaders usually neglect them, or rather ignore them. That's why these things to do with the anger issues from the youths, it's something that is actually going to be a ticking time bomb. And then it reaches a point, the levels of anger escalate to an uncontrollable hates, and that's when you get to find that youths are actually experiencing so many the country actually comes to experience so many cases related to demonstrations, get vandalizing of properties, because at that particular point youth cannot be controlled anymore. So and as much as that's leadership, you also need to ensure that you need to also understand that this actually also raises the question, how many of our leaders are actually willing to do this? Because too often we see politicians respond with arrogance. We've seen protests met with force instead of dialogue. We've seen calls calls for reform getting dismissed, and generally, like I said, this is why many young people are growing more frustrated as the days and years have unfolded. And you also need to know that we usually have solutions to various problems. Like for instance, if at the moment Sakaja has spoken about the level of frustration or the level of bitterness that our youths are in, you need to ask yourself, so what's the way forward? So uh, after asking yourself what's supposed to be done, it's clear that the young people need more than just words. They need action, because some of the key steps that could make a difference in this particular economy, or rather in this particular country, is that number one, we need to create what we call a real economic opportunity. And in this particular moment, I want to say that the government must invest in job creation. It should also support entrepreneurship, and also make funding accessible to the young business owners, because the main reason as to why most businesses don't grow is because they lack capital to do what? To expand, or rather to grow. You know, for a business to be to be stable, it must go through phases, especially if it's a startup. So for startups, it's usually so difficult for them to pick up, but the moment they pick up, it becomes a very lucrative investment, because most of the people have so many business ideas in mind, most of the youth, but it's so difficult for them to actually access financing from various banks in the country. And these are some of the things that make our youth very frustrated. And we also need to ensure that we fight corruption seriously, because the youth usually lose hope when they see leaders enriching themselves at the expense of the public. You get? Whereby you find a leader having 5 helicopters, find a leader having 4 supercars, you find a leader having so many big things, but at the same time, the youth who actually landed are not accessing any jobs in their respective offices. So the real action against corruption is going to restore faith in this particular nation. Then, apart from fighting corruption, we also need to ensure that we engage the youth in decision making. Recently, we've seen the president and the leader of opposition, that is Raila Amolo Odinga, and President William Ruto, having what he called an MOU, that's a memorandum of understanding. They never engaged the youth in coming up with such an agreement. They did it by themselves. So policies that affect the young people should be made with them at the table, not just about them. They should be made with the youth, so that we know where their challenges that they are experiencing in this country. And yeah, we all know that above all, respect. We need to have a respectful dialogue, because, like Sakaja said, leaders need to listen, and the more they provoke the young people, the more resistance they create, because meaningful conversations can lead to real change in this country of ours called Kenya. So yeah, you need to understand. At the end of the day, leadership is about responsibility, and we need to hold ourselves accountable. And about the young people, we have a role too. We must stay engaged, we must push for accountability, and we should never stop demanding the change that we deserve as a nation, or rather as the next generation of this particular country. So what I can say is that this conversation is far from over, but I would also love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? Kindly drop your thoughts, or rather your comments. Share this episode to other people, and let's keep this discussion going on, because we need to have a better country. That a country, we don't, of course, it's so difficult to help everyone, but if a majority of the people are being helped, it means that they're actually going to transfer that kind of energy to those who are close to them. So it means that at the end of the day, we're going to have a happy nation, and things are going to flow in a very smooth way. So drop a comment, share this episode, and let's keep discussing. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep pushing for a better future.